Channeling Gapu. Lutadoween's TashaXi. This is TashaXi. And we're going to get into this whole thing with the moon wobbling and causing flooding. So grab your pen and your pad and let's start digging turtles. Pretty soon, probably around 2013 or leading up to not 13, excuse me. So according to NASA, around 2030 or so, we're going to be having severe massive flooding due to the moon wobbling. So and then it's like, it's coming from NASA. So a lot of us don't believe, or, it's a little shaky. So they're saying that the moon's wobble could cause havoc on the U.S. coastal cities. So that's the East Coast and the West Coast, okay? It's going to cause massive floods and the rising sea levels, okay? Because, which some people don't know, the moon kind of regulates the water and how the waves flow and different currents and things, okay? So they're saying in 9 years, possibly, the position of the moon will change and it's going to be terrible flood. So it's going to be Great Flood, part 2, 3, whatever, whichever you believe happened, right? The thing that they're not saying is that this moon is a satellite. The moon was not always there, according to many indigenous oral histories, right? It's a satellite. They call it a satellite, in their documents, NASA and other academics. So what exactly is the moon is the question, right? Where does it come from? Some people believe that Nibiru, a planet inhabited by the Anunnaki, crashed into the earth and peace broke off and created the moon. Other people just believe that the moon appeared out of nowhere. Some people believe some other entities created a fake moon shell. That's really, I don't know. It's a whole lot of theories. And they rode it over here and parked it here to observe us. Some people think it's pieces of the asteroid belt that came together and created this moon here. Other people believe that there were 3 moons here at one time. So it's a whole bunch of theories about the moon, and nobody really knows the truth about it, especially with the whole dark side of the moon thing, which is very strange. Okay, but according to NASA, the pull and pressure of the moon are in equilibrium from year to year, but in 18.6 years, there's a slight change in this place. During this half of the time, the moon suppresses the waves of the earth. Like I said, the moon controls the waves. But half of the time, it accelerates the waves and increases their height, which is dangerous. As the position of the moon changes, the nuisance floods coming on the coastlines will be severe, okay? So they're thinking around 2030. The global sea level will increase. And it's been increasing year by year. Those of us who are into archaeology, some people are into marine biology, period, ecosystems, things like that. We do know that the coastline, at least from my experience, coastline on the East Coast have receded tremendously, okay? So it has gone up tremendously, not receded. So, for instance, Jamestown, there was a whole lot of water between the shoreline in Jamestown. Now that water is coming closer and closer and closer. And some archaeologists really believe around 2030, 2040, that Jamestown will be all underwater. Okay? So just going by the history, reading the history books, them checking the soil, them checking the shores, the waters, all that. So that's proof right there. And we all know the theories about California being underwater. right? People really think that whole shoreline on the west coast is going to be underwater for sure, especially down in the southern hemisphere of North America, right? Over there, isn't Cabo over there? Baja, Mexico, all that stuff is going to be underwater. California, that's what people believe, right? All the way up to where San Francisco is. But, only time is going to tell. And y'all got to go back to what's going on with them making these explosions off the coastline, okay? Off the coast of, the East Coast and the Atlantic, there's been reports of explosions, as well as over in the coastline in California. So what are these explosions? Some people believe that they're actually trying to destroy the ecosystems or destroy parts of the tectonic plates, or, the earth plates, the things that cause earthquakes. Some people believe that. Also, some people believe that they're killing certain sea creatures that we might not know about, that they think may be a threat to us, or maybe a threat to our food supply, eating up all the little tiny fish that we eat. It's a lot. This whole moon thing, there's a whole lot of theories going on with it. It's really deeper than these headlines that we're seeing. Okay? So you got to really dig deep on this. You got to ask questions. Now, going back to the moon not being here, there's many stories of it not being here, okay? And it sounds freaky to a lot of people, like, okay, how come they don't talk about this at school? Where is the moon coming from? Where did it come from? Okay? It's too many questions, so I suggest everybody keep their ears and eyes open, keep their mind open, and most importantly, and start looking into these things. We've been having massive amounts of this little minor earthquakes around the United States area corporation. Okay. I know in Virginia last year we had about 3 or 4 earthquakes, which is very uncommon. Virginia would have like maybe one earthquake in a decade, not even decade, a century. So for them to have for us to have 3 or 4 in 1 year, during that 2020, you already know that what that stuff was going on then. It's kind of like I don't know. I don't think those are natural, personally, especially with everybody being placed in the house. There's something up with those things. So you really got to get into opening your mind and opening that third eye, which is your mind's eye, and looking at this stuff, okay? So another article goes into saying conceivable mass flooding during the 2030s. The great news is that the off chance that it occurs, the mass flooding will happen just about 10 years from now. The terrible news is that the speculative debacle has the capability of making 3-4-fold the number of elevated tide flood days out of every year over the range of a whole decade for urban communities along the U.S. coast. Okay? At the end of the day, the repulsiveness could end in 2040. Okay, so they think we're going to have this great flood or these great floods for a 10-year span, okay, from 2030 to 2040. That's a long time to be dealing with floods. Like, really, if it gets that bad, like, people are going to be losing a lot of property. People are going to be losing their lives, okay? So, this so-called warning that they're giving people is telling y'all to prepare for the worst, basically. Prepare for anything, right? And in business, they tell you always be prepared, okay? And that should be a motto for life. Always be prepared. You can't go around looking for these people to look out for you, right? They have their own agendas. We don't know what's going on. So that's why it's important to be into survival, right? Prepping, shift, things like that, because you never know what's going to happen. And just getting back to the ancestors, y'all. Get back to what the ancestors knew and what the ancestors learned and what they taught about living off the earth, living off the land. Okay, and plus we need to be getting in shape as well. A lot of us are out of shape. Something happens, it's a flood. How you gonna run away from that water? You know what I'm saying? When you're in couch potato mode. So we always got to get everything sharp. This is a spiritual journey. This is a spiritual war going on. But you also have to use your body as a vessel, right? A lot of y'all not going to be driving around a broke down car. So you shouldn't be riding around or walking around in a broke down body. You just got to keep that in mind. And that's no judgment, because all of us have things we have to work on. We just have to be aware, okay? And create that balance for ourselves and our families. That's what's most important. First yourself, right? Because, when they say when the plane's crashing, you got to put the oxygen mask on your face first, right? You got to put the life preserver on you first before you go and try to save others, right? So this is what we should be doing, working on self, working on family, and then working on the community at large. All right. So hopefully that gave y'all some clarity on what's going on, or not clarity. It really gave a lot of questions that we should be thinking about. Okay. And what are, in the comments below, just what are some of the moon stories from your cultures? What do they say about the moon? Where did the moon come from? I know a lot of the woodland cultures, we have Grandma Moon and Moon Water, a lot of those moon rituals for women. So what is the moon to you in your culture? And what do you think about NASA? I don't really trust them like that. But I do know that the moon regulates the waves in the oceans. And if somebody messes with the moon, or something happens to the moon, with their axis, it's definitely going to be some consequences for us on this planet. So just let me know what your thoughts are in below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out my Patreon at patreon.com/TashaXi. Okay, check out what we got going on. We're doing the codex over there. We got a lot of things, a lot of books up there already. You guys, I love y'all. I appreciate your support. We also have a DNA Academy where we have our language class for the Powhatan language, as well as genealogy class. And we're going to be having the woodland classes and the spirituality classes coming up soon. Okay. So in the Powhatan language, to say goodbye, we say Ana. So Ana.